Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. First of all, if you are new here and you're looking for some reading inspiration for the summer, you like following book reviews, you like to know what other people are reading and what they think about it, then consider sticking around. I try to post new book reviews almost every single day, and this is in a wide variety of genres, so you can check out all the book reviews that I've done and stick around for future book reviews. Now let's talk about today's entry in the series because I have a lot of thoughts. Today we are going to be talking about and discussing volume 23 in the series Komi Can't Communicate by Tomohito Oda, as evidenced by the fact that I'm already on volume 23 and the fact that I had to make a matcha latte to get myself through this entire video. I have a lot of thoughts on this volume and I'm going to be talking a lot about this volume. So first of all, if you don't want to be spoiled for events that happen in volume 23, I would recommend not watching this video until you've read the volume yourself, because I feel like I can't review the volume without revealing some major plot points that happen in this volume. I'm going to try to not talk about everything, but I don't want to spoil anything for those of you who haven't read the volume. Also, I'm on volume 23, so I am going to reference things that have happened in the past 22 volumes, so if for whatever reason you don't want that, or you need a refresher, then you can go back and watch all my reviews on volumes 1 through 22 on the series Komi Can't Communicate. With all of that being said, let's talk volume 23. First of all, I checked this. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to find this because I didn't know if any library that I had access to had this off the new shelf, which I needed the book off the new shelf to order it. But I found it in a library that I have access to. Long story short, and this is a new book. So I got volume 23 and 24 and I read them almost back to back. So I read both of these at this point, but I'm just going to be reviewing volume 23. I knew immediately that this volume was gonna have some good shit in it. And you wanna know why? Because there's those dark lines. This, which is indicative of like a full page illustration, is this is how I know there was going to be some good stuff happening in this volume, so I was very excited. So I prepared myself because I knew that this volume was going to be a huge turning point in the series, at least in my opinion. I kind of suspected that going in, and indeed it was. So premise, setting up volume 23, it's Valentine's Day. So on Valentine's Day, of course, girls are giving chocolates to the boys that they like. But more importantly, Manbagi has decided that she wants to confess that she likes Tadano and see if Tadano will date her. So that's what's going to happen on Valentine's Day, and that is why this volume is so crucial and so important. So now let's back up and talk about Manbagi as a character. So I think that people may be in different camps about this. I feel like there's a lot of people who are on Team Komi in this love triangle between Komi, Manbagi, and Tadano, but there are some people maybe who are split between the two characters, and I'm definitely one of those people. I love Komi. Komi is our protagonist. She's the girl that we've been following from volume 1, but I also really like Manbagi. I like her drive, I like her energy, I like her enthusiasm, I like her humor, I like the fact that she's not afraid to go after what she wants. And I think that's the part that I really appreciate and that comes out in this volume that I really, really like. She's not sitting passively waiting for Tadano to notice that she likes him. She's taking it upon herself on this Valentine's Day to work up the courage and actually go confess to him, knowing that he might reject her. And I think I just like Manbagi's energy. I think there might be people who don't like Manbagi's energy, or just people who don't want that love triangle to be there and just want Komi and Tadano to fall in love and be happy. But I don't think Manbagi as a third person in this mix is really ruining anything, because I feel like it is reasonable that as this group has hung out for a while as friends, Manbagi would develop feelings for Tadano. So I don't think it's unrealistic, and I also really like Manbagi as a person and I want her to be happy, but I knew this was going to be a very, very stressful volume. Manbagi decides that Valentine's Day, and this is where I'm going to start talking about things that happen in this volume, so don't listen any further if you don't want to be spoiled. Manbagi decides to confess on Valentine's Day. So Manbagi waits for school to be let out. She asks Tadano to meet her, and she winds up confessing that she likes Tadano and would like to, she asks him if they would like to start dating. And we have, on page 51, the most stressful page in the series thus far. One of the more stressful pages I have ever read in a manga series. And Page 51 is worse than Haikyuu, and in Haikyuu, waiting for that volleyball to touch the ground is the most stressful, like 30-page chapter of my life. But this volume, because at that point what had happened was Mambagi had confessed and he was like, yeah, you're nice, you're great, you have a lot of great personalities, I'll date you, because Mambagi has put herself out there in a way that Komi hasn't. But Mambagi kind of knows at this point, things have kind of clicked in her head that maybe Tadano has feelings for Komi. So she decides to ask him if he will regret dating her, because by dating her, at least while he's dating her, he cannot date Komi. So she's clued in. I feel like at this point she kind of realizes that Tadano has feelings for Komi, and also Mambagi as a person probably doesn't want to date someone who also has whose true feelings lie with someone else. Like, that's kind of not a great feeling to be dating someone to know that they're actually just in love with someone else. So she asks again, and that's where that page 51 comes in, and Tadano takes a stand and he very gently lets Mambagi down, or at least says, I think I might regret dating you, because Tadano is really opening up to the fact that, well, he likes Mambagi's a great person, she might be a fun person to date. His true feelings lie with Komi. Mambagi is, of course, hurt. She lets him know gently, he leaves, she's there, and this is where there's a scene that I really, really like that I feel like encapsulates the entire manga up to this point. And this is going to sound really cliche and cheesy, and I'm very sorry. I know exactly how this sounds when I say it, but I don't know how else to say it because it is true. And that is, I feel like this series really encapsulates like the romance that's going on, like the romantic love that you can have, but also like I really don't want to say the power of friendship, because that just sounds like such an overused phrase, but really like the love that comes with a group of friends. So basically Mambagi is let down and she's hurt. I mean, even if she knows that things are going to be okay and things are going to be fine, she knows, I wrote the page number down, she knows that everything's going to work out, everything's going to be fine with her life. She will probably still even be friends with Tadano in the future, but in the moment, the pain is still there and the pain still hurts. And what's happened basically is everyone has waited outside the door because they knew that she was going to make this confession, because Mambagi is a very outgoing and loud person, and she told Komi that she was going to confess to Tadano. So she's already made that clear, and basically the whole class heard. So they're waiting outside, and when they know that she's been rejected, basically her entire friend group comes in. Not even her entire friend group. Just a ton of people just come in to support her. And you really have this moment where she realizes, yes, she didn't get Tadano. She's not the quote-unquote winner of this love triangle, but what is really the winner? She has a whole group of people who love her and support her, and yeah, Tadano was going to want to date someone else. Tadano's true feelings lie with someone else. But again, the danger of sounding incredibly cliche about the power of friendship and love, like, it's true. Sometimes you're gonna have a great date with a guy, and sometimes you're going to have a horrible time, and you need that power of friendship, for lack of a better word, to drive you to the nearest grocery store at 12 in the morning to get a pint of ice cream to drown your sorrows in. Ask me how I know. But I feel like also that moment encapsulates, yeah, the entire series, because the series has had that romantic bend with the love triangle, with the developing feelings between Komi and Tadano, but it's also really been emphasizing the importance of having good friends in your life. I really don't think one is better than the other. Like, if you have romantic love but you don't have a strong friendship foundation, or if you have a lot of friends but maybe your romantic life is lacking, I feel like most adults would like a balance of both. I'm not saying every adult out there, there's obviously going to be exceptions to the rule, maybe people who just don't connect with a lot of people as friends, or people who can forego the romantic side, but most adults I feel like need a balance of both. And I feel like sometimes the romantic love gets put up on a pedestal, and the friendship love, for lack of a better word, doesn't really get as much emphasis as it should, because it's also a super important and meaningful part of your life. Those are also people who are really important to me. And that's why I think this volume captures the romantic side, because Tadano's story will continue after this whole spiel about Mambagi, but Mambagi is experiencing both some heartbreak, also the power of just having a group of friends. And I feel like also when you have a group of friends that you can rely on, even when the boy rejects you, the date doesn't go as planned, you go through a breakup, whatever happens in your romantic life, if you have those friends that you can rely on, that you can fall back on, I feel like you're just a little bit more resilient going through some of the inevitable disappointments that happen in the romantic side of your life. And I like Mambagi. I feel like I relate to Mambagi heavily. I do not believe in sitting around and waiting for someone to kind of figure out that you might be interested in them. I'm definitely the kind of person who's a little bit more proactive, saying, hey, let's grab coffee. Hey, let's hang out. I feel like That's just my personality. It's not a better personality. I don't want to say that. I'm not saying Manbagi is being better by being more forward with Tadano, but I appreciate her personality, and that may be one of the reasons why I like Manbagi so much, where other people might not like Manbagi so much, because I see so much of myself in Manbagi with the loud personality and talking a lot and just being over exuberant, and also just having a little bit more willingness to be a little bit more forward. Though I will say I have major props for her for like actually directly asking a boy out on a date in high school. I did not have the self-confidence for that in high school. No way. So props to Manbagi at age like 16 or 15 or whatever doing that. Was not me. So now we have Manbagi. Manbagi, I don't know. I don't want to say she's out of the way. Manbagi is still there. But Manbagi is experiencing the power of friendship, for lack of a better term. But Tadano has made a important life decision that happens on these full pages. And Tadano has decided that if Manbagi can get the courage to confess the way that she feels to him, then he needs to get the courage to confess how he feels to Komi. And it is kind of this peak moment where their feelings are all out there in the open, and they realize that they have feelings for each other, that maybe they should start dating. And it is kind of this culmination of 22 volumes of a building romantic love that's kind of been like maybe love's kind of a strong word, romantic feelings that have been budding for like 22 volumes. And I really eat up the whole slow burn thing normally. Like, I just love it. So the fact that I had to wait this long to get my reward is, I like it. I'm here for it. I want it. Also, it's important to note that this week, the same week that I read Komi Can't Communicate, volume 23, I also read Kaguya-sama Love is War, volume 14, whichever one was like peak Love is War. So I've been reading like the peak of both of these volumes thus far, or both of these series thus far, and I have been loving it. Of course, the story continues, and Najimi, who everyone has decided they're going to leave out of the loop, is out of the loop for approximately 7 seconds until he realizes, or they realize, Najimi's gender is kind of ambiguous. They realize that they just look at Tadano and they're like, okay, so you're dating Komi now. So now we kind of have this moment where they're dating, but I don't think things are going to be perfect moving forward. We still have two very blundery, awkward teens who are trying to feel out how to navigate dating for the first time, which is different. So I was a little worried, but I think things are going to be still interesting, still awkward going forward. And I'm happy for Manbagi, and I'm happy for Komi, and I'm happy for Tadano. And I'm just excited for this whole series. I like that everyone can still be friends. I like that everyone is getting what they want. Well, most people. Manbagi has her friends too, and I'm sure Manbagi's story will end happily. I just think that volume 23 was a wonderful volume, a beautiful volume. I had so much fun reading it, and I think if you like this series, yeah, if you've liked this series thus far, I think you're definitely gonna like volume 23. I feel like your feelings on volume 23 might differ a little bit depending on whether or not you actually like Manbagi. Let me know below if you're reading this series if you like Manbagi as a character, or if Manbagi's kind of like for you. I personally, of course, love Manbagi. I've been mentioning this, but I think I was reading some comments, I think on volume 23, that were saying people didn't really like Manbagi, but who knows? I don't know. So if you like Manbagi, if you don't like Manbagi, what you thought about volume 23, I would love to hear it. Also, if there's any other manga series you think I should be reading that I'm not reading, that I haven't reviewed or talked about, please let me know in the comments below, because I love getting suggestions. Komi was a suggestion to me from my sisters to read, so I rely a lot on suggestions for knowing what to read next, to make sure I'm reading the best of the best out there. So please let me know what you think I should be reading next. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.